Latinidad is a term that unites all Latinos, regardless of nationality or skin color. It's about a shared culture and a sense of belonging. But let's be clear, being Latino is not a race. There are Black Latinos, white Latinos, and every shade in between. 1 in 4 U.S. Hispanics identify as Afro-Latino, and 2/3 of Hispanics with darker skin colors report discrimination. Common yet racist phrases such as mejorando la raza or improving the race encourage generations of Latinos to value European features and skin tone. One survey showed that 55% of dark-skinned individuals were viewed as less intelligent and therefore less worthy.
¿Cuál muñeco te gusta más?
Blanco, porque sus ojos están bonitos y su raza también.
This is what colorism looks like. It may not be something we want to acknowledge, but that's exactly why we wanted to bring it to the table. We cannot know what it's like to be in the skin of darker Latinos because we were born like this.
In Latino families, you can have someone with very dark skin, you could have someone with very light skin, and they can be brother and sister. That dynamic within the family can cause your family to treat you different, people looking from the outside to treat you different, which is why we need to use this platform to amplify this issue, because I don't know what that feels like.
It breaks my heart to think that Afro-Latinos feel racism in their own family, because you think of racism as a general thing in society, but when it happens in your own family, it's very difficult. Is that feeling of being, the trauma of being oppressed.
As humans, we tend to get close to what makes us comfortable, and sometimes we treat different as less than, and that is one of the biggest issues in the world.
This is something that needs to be gutted from the inside out because they're dealing with things in their life that we will never know, merely as a result of the color of their skin.
Here we go, girls. Caramo is best known as the culture expert on the hit show Queer Eye, which I love. But what you may not know is that Caramo's grandmother was Cuban. For most of his life, he rejected his Latin roots because of the racism he felt within his own family. Welcome to the table, baby.
So happy to be with you
I am
all.
loving this sweater
Thank you.
now.
I appreciate it.
So much.
I was trying to be a little sexy and give a little cleavage.
Your grandma's Cuban.
Yes.
And ended up in Jamaica.
Yes, Jamaica, yeah. And
Was she Afro?
She's lighter. Yeah, she was, but she was lighter. Growing up, I felt very embarrassed. Even today, to be honest, talking to the producers and talking to people, every time they refer to me as Afro-Latino or Latino, I get very uncomfortable, still to this day.
It's something new.
It's very new.
Your Latino family did not accept you.
Not accept sounds deliberate. I don't think they understood what they were doing, but it was the subliminal, unconscious, internalized racism that was in them.
Do you feel like within your family, if somebody's lighter, you know, they'll joke and be like, oh, you know, because you're the darker one and I'm the lighter one, and that makes
Of course. For me, playing outside as a kid was nerve-wracking because my grandma would say, don't go outside and don't darken up my family. Don't darken up my family. Don't darken up my family. So I would not go outside until after 5 p.m. because then the sun would be less. And I still get emotional right now because you think, I'm a kid.
Yeah.
And I should not have to be thinking about not going outside
Absolutely.
and playing because I don't want to get darker so that my grandmother doesn't say a comment.
Maybe she even thought she was trying to protect you.
And that's
She
what it was.
trying to help you. She was
In her
trying
mind.
to, I guess,
Yeah.
make her keep thinking
Thinking.
that it was going to be better for
Yes,
you to
yes.
be lighter.
Her intention was to protect me, to try to say things that she thought was going to help me. But the impact is that it destroyed me emotionally, but it also made me feel like I wasn't connected to my culture.
Intention versus
Impact.
Okay, caramba, that is huge.
That is huge.
My family used to say, oh, your nose. And my grandmother, even my mother, would squeeze my nose.
Okay, what was that?
But it was because my nose is more African. My nose is more black. And for many years, I kept saying to myself, I need a nose job. I did not know where that internalized hatred I had for myself was coming from.
Your trauma, I mean, we don't realize it, but, you know, it starts with the family, the people around you. You know, like those experiences are going to mark you for the rest of your life.
I'm the only boy, I have sisters, and they range from very light to, I have one sister who's the darkest. And her treatment was the worst. The reason that I am the person on Queer Eye that has the emotional and mental conversations is because I understand the trauma and damage where maybe, and not to discount my sisters who are lighter, they didn't experience because they were bonita, they were all these things that were for me, I didn't hear those things as often.
But you're gorgeous.
I appreciate
That's
that.
your Cuban side.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. You know?
Have you ever been told that you couldn't possibly be Latino because you're black?
Yes. It wasn't even a question. It's immediately like, no, you're Jamaican. There's no Cuban. And it's an easy way just to dismiss me and discriminate me. That's why I love what you're doing here, because there's so many people who are gonna watch you, hear this for the first time and say, oh, this is a problem. Maybe I shouldn't be making these comments. And so what I love about this conversation is that for those individuals who are experiencing their mental health, their emotional health being damaged,
Yes.
this is a moment where you can understand that you are beautiful as you are, because it's a journey that I'm going on right now to love myself because of the internalized racism that I heard and experienced from my Latin side. But I started to say, I have to build myself back up.
Absolutely.
Conversations like this, where I look at you all and you look like people in my family and you're affirming me, for the first time it's like, okay, I'm getting chills, I'm getting emotional. It's like I feel included.
You have to go through a process after trauma to understand it, to turn it into something meaningful, to then be able to help somebody else. You don't just live like this, go through trauma, and then, oh, sure, I'm fine, I'm unaffected by it.
Takes a lot,
You have
but
to
that takes a
build
lot of
yourself
time.
up.
How have you changed it with your sons?
I tell them their skin is gorgeous. The darker, it's beautiful. I want to make sure they hear it. And I realize it's important the language I have in my home.
Yes.
I no longer allow other family members, cousins, aunts, uncles, anyone to make comments to my kids and me to walk away. It's important for me to now to be respectful of my family, especially those who are older, but to also say, this is why that is hurtful. This is why that is damaging. And this is why I'm hoping we can talk about why you think that's okay to say and how you changing that could actually make us a stronger family.
That's very
Make us a stronger
Comparing,
people.
Because families, they don't
Listen.
realize it, but they're comparing.
There's something I say to people all the time. Comparison is the thief of joy. If you want to steal the joy from your family,
Yes.
whether it's their skin tone, whether it's their education, keep comparing your kids and see if you don't steal the joy and the love that's in your home.
And let's try to be better. Let's try to really think about what we're saying to each other as human beings.
within the Latino community are we saying to ourselves and believing and then passing on that is wrong about Afro-Latinos or Black people, period?
What do you guys think?
Yo creo que en verdad la palabra que va a salvar todo esto es información. Y a partir de ahí, ya puedes ahora sí tú formar tus propios criterios y que tú ya puedas realmente abrir tus ojos, despertar y decir, oye, es verdad, o sea, está pasando esto y no me había dado cuenta.
We have to learn. We need to do better. We can't change what happened before. We can learn from it and try to move forward. Carlos, muchas gracias. She felt she was discriminated against because of the color of her skin and the texture of her hair. Now, as the star of Love and Hip Hop Miami, which I also love, she's using her voice to speak up for Black Latinos. Welcome, Amara.
Wow, I love your song.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Sharing the love, sharing the love.
Amara La Negra, born Diana Danelis de los Santos, got her start in show business at 4 years old, dancing in the popular Spanish variety series Sábado Gigante, where both she and Lily were regular cast members.
People know me, or I started off as Diana de los Santos, back when I used to, work at Sábado Gigante with Don Francisco, which, by the way, now that I'm grown, I don't know how you did it, because that was a lot. That was a lot. Why? Oh, I'll tell you why. Being on that platform, fue una bendición. I learned a lot from it. I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Oh my God, we loved you.
We know that he wasn't the easiest cookie. At least not for me. And obviously, chiquita, uno no quería, no, a mí no me importa, we're grown now. And there was many things that he could have done with his platform to help people like myself. During choreographies, they never knew where to place me. Vamos a ponerla en el medio, o vamos a ponerla atrás, because si no, la choreografía is gonna look awkward. He was one of those that also made a lot of those esos chistes un poco de mal gusto para personas como yo, pero en ese momento uno se lo aceptaba, because, you know, el ícono, who's gonna go against the power?
Pero like what?
But
Okay.
those racist comments, those
Es que
racist
40
jokes,
years, 40 years ago, we didn't have this
is
conscience
that people
that-
have gotten away with it. Because even if you knew it, mira, es igual cuando dice, me encanta la piel morena and I love all these great things. Yes, but if you had the opportunity of going to sleep and waking up black, would you want to wake up black? Would you want to be treated as a black person? And this is where I come in, where I'm like, okay, let's have real conversations.
Okay, but you were the only black little girl
In how many years?
in Sábado Gigante. No, remind me, because yeah, in how many
Bueno,
years?
vamos a decirle que fue 35 years, que como quiera is a great accomplishment.
37.
Come on, los negros, we've been here for the longest time. There isn't a Latin country that doesn't have black people. De Guatemala, Chile, Honduras, Puerto Rico, Cuba, every single place in the world. And that's the part that I feel that is unfair.
No, Amara, pero tú eres especial. O sea, es que te tienes que poner a pensar que tú eras, para comenzar, la única niña en esa conversación de la raza negra, y tú sabes cuántas niñitas y
Te vieron a ti.
tú sabes cuántas
La mosca
niñitas.
dentro del vaso de,
No.
de leche. That's how it felt.
Eso es lo que tú
like
no
the bug
puedes.
inside of a cup of milk. Like everybody was like, mira.
Amara en Sábado Gigante siempre estaba adelante.
Eso es lo que pasa, que el trauma todavía se mantiene ahí and we just try to cover it up. Yo creo que en la comunidad latina hay que hablar las cosas como son. No me gusta generalizar, but a lot of us are very hypocrite. And that's just the truth. You know what I'm saying? There is racism. Yo no soy racista. I would never say qué cosa. Would you want your daughter or your son to marry a black person?
Yes,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
I don't know if they're happy. Oye,
Oh yeah, but she's right. Not most people are not like that.
most people are not.
Most people
Yes,
have
yeah.
the subtext of racism, whether they tell you to your face, I'm not racist, they're feeling it and they're
And,
thinking.
and it's the truth. This is not to pinpoint anybody on this table specifically. It's for the people that are watching. Dejen de ser tan hipócrita. And it's the truth. And if you're racist, don't pretend to like us and really not like us. Tú eres muy linda para casarte con un negro, mi amor. Tú tienes que mejorar la raza.
Right.
Pero, mi amor, esas facciones que tú tienes, the same thing with the nose. I've heard it all. And they make sure that you know that you are the darkest one. It's like, I see, I got
I know
eyes.
it, yeah.
Y'all ain't gotta tell me. I know. And don't get it twisted with this wig that I got on right now, looking fabulous. Debajo de esta peluca, mi amor, I got my curls. No me desrizo. Tengo mi pelo malo, mi pelo pasa, mi pelo, como lo quieran llamar, pelo cocola. I embrace it. I play part of the game. I know what it is.
I know that African American parents have the talk.
Yes.
Do Latino, Afro Latino parents have that talk?
Are Afro-Latinos still black?
Yes.
We still have to have that conversation.
I know, but do they is my question.
You have
Like,
to
does
have
your
that
mama-
conversation.
listen to what you just told you. Are Afro Latinos black?
Yo never, es que por más que yo te lo quiera explicar, nunca vas a entender cómo se siente, la manera que te miran. If you walk by a street, la gente cambia de acera. You walk by a supermarket or whatever, there's always a security walking. Do you need anything, ma'am? Do you need anything? No, I don't. Why don't you ask somebody else?
Yeah.
That's why to
Yeah.
me, I'm so passionate about it, and I don't want to sugarcoat it. Being black is not being black in America, it's not being black in Cuba, it's not being black in La República Dominicana, it's being black in the world.
Absolutely.
Just see us as people, you know? Just see us as people, man.
What you said is so important. Feel the fierce need if somebody says something inappropriate or whatever to be like, that is disturbing, severely inappropriate. And also I want to ask, is it okay if I say something? Is it okay if I insert myself here? Because I feel like I almost have to use my voice, but I also don't want to make anybody uncomfortable.
Whatever you feel in your heart and in your spirit, you do it. Stand behind it. And especially if you know that it's coming from a good place. None of us will ever feel some type of way because you're defending us or because you're standing up for us. Al revés, we're grateful because no one does it. Growing up, you never saw people like us. Celia Cruz to me was life, and I had the honor of being able to work with her.
Celia, by the way,
Yeah.
she went through a lot of discrimination in Cuba.
Yeah.
And even when she had the opportunity of having a major role, era la nana, la chacha. I've gone to auditions para novelas en estos canales latinos que, como dije, tampoco es que tenemos
No,
tantos.
we don't, exactly.
We have like two. They've told me, mira mami, tú eres muy buena y todo, nos gusta tu personalidad, tu todo, pero estamos buscando a alguien que sea un poquito más latina, como un poquito. So then here comes the part where I'm like,
More
oh,
Latina?
because el prototipo de la mujer latina, with all due respect, es una mujer como tú, como Jennifer Lopez, como
Sí.
Salma Hayek, whatever it is, it doesn't look like me.
I have to agree with you.
Hemos evolucionado mucho. We have grown very much really? Have we? How many black people do you see in el noticiero? How many black people do you see in las novelas? How many black people do you see in the covers of magazines? Do you see them in movies?
Exactly.
No, you don't.
Exactly.
De drogadicta, prostituta, chacha, Chica da Silva, porque era una novela de esclavos. So it's like,
Oh my God.
have we really evolved?
You, for me, and I started to get emotional when I hear you talking, was super impactful. You don't understand how important it was for me to see you on Love and Hip Hop. If I would have had you as a kid,
Right.
Jesus, but I'm so thankful that I had you as a grown man. I know that there's not enough and you still are tokenized in so
Right.
many ways, but I have to tell you, even though you are that one and there should be more,
Yes.
I'm so thankful that you are the one.
Thank you so much.
Seriously, thank you.
I have to give you all the credit in the world as well. I remember one of the most important moments in my career was performing with you on stage in the American
Y2K.
Airlines at the Y2K with Neri Torres. Like, you always make sure to give that credit to everyone because it takes a team to make those performances
Absolutely, a
happen.
team.
And within that team, there were people like us. And even though that I was very young, I shall always be
Well,
grateful
thank you,
for
but you
it.
know what's funny? I thought it was us
I know.
sharing our African traditions and that's such a part of who we are.
But not a part of
And to me,
we
that's
are to other
celebratory.
people.
You don't know, because a veces la gente no sabe how impactful certain moments can be for
Yeah.
people.
You both are going to be, Amara, the role models for the next generation.
Amen, amen.
What do you tell them?
You go first.
Be patient with yourself and love every part of who you are. And it might take a little bit longer because of the negative things you've been hearing your entire life, but know that it's up to you to love yourself and to see the beauty, even if your family, your culture, or the world around you does not make you feel like it is okay to love who you are and accept who you are.
I would say, oye lo que te voy a decir. And I would say,
Ay, Amara.
More Latin
I
than
don't think
that.
it's more than that. Oye lo que te voy a decir.
Tienes tiempo, siéntate que te va para largo.
Mira, embrace your negritud. Embrace it, understand it.
Yes.
See it as a power. God blessed you with melanin. Melanin is a power. Understand that the world shall come against you and you need to be prepared for whatever is to come. Don't let anyone make you feel that you're less than. Y edúcate y prepárate. That's the most important thing, because when you have education, you have power.
I want to bring out somebody that gave you your power. Mami, ven para acá.
Y ese negro bello precioso.
Amara's Dominican mother, Ana Oliaga, overcame many obstacles to help Amara pursue her dreams. She saw the discrimination young Amara faced and taught her to love herself by confronting racism head on. The fact that you created, que usted haya criado esta mujer, es importantísimo. Como usted la preparó a ella y como le ha dado la fuerza esa para sentirse que puede con todo. ¿Quién se la dio a usted esa fuerza?
Eso es resultado de ver muchas injusticias, mucho bullying. Desde chiquita en la escuela ya le decían, le querían, hasta golpes le llegan a dar.
I know I got
Porque ella
jumped.
le decían la negra fina, que ella llegaba muchas veces llorando, me tocaba consolarla, animarla, decirle, no te dejes arrastrar. Si tú quieres, yo voy a la oficina. Y ella me decía, no, mami, porque yo te conozco. Y digo, no, porque
She's real loud. She's real
si yo
high.
tengo cada 2 o 3 lo hago. Yo siempre le decía a ella, tú tienes que, con la piedra que te tiren, ve juntándola, los ladrillos que te tiren, júntalos y para que hagas tu propio castillo.
Oh,
That's beautiful.
That pain that you carry is what's going to make a difference for the people you talk to. Because you lived it in your own skin. You have something to share that, hey, she did this, look at this. You know, you're
that person.
proud. There you
Qué
go.
lindo, tan bello, amén.
Thank you for being here and being so honest and being that force of nature that you are, a woman.
This was muy
Bien
inesperado.
agradecida
That's
que
good.
está la niña.
So they know it's real. It's real on the red table.
Doc-
Red table.
Dr. Elizabeth Horge Freeman has spent her life studying the effects of prejudice and racism towards Afro-Latinos throughout the U.S. and Latin America. Welcome, Dr. Freeman. We're so happy to have you in this free-for-all.
I am just so excited to be part of the table.
You've been listening to their stories.
Yes.
I'm sure your brain is exploding with
So many
facts and statistics and things.
connections.
Please enlighten us.
Listening to both Amara's stories and Karamo's stories, in many ways, they resonate with the patterns and trends that we see across Latin America and across the United States with Afro-Latinos. It's the conversation about the journey, learning and unlearning, right? So learning your history, learning to own who you are, learning to own your body, but also to unlearn some of the negative anti-Black attitudes that are expressed in families and seen in broader society, right? And even when we talk about families, oftentimes families are making decisions about who to invest in because they're thinking about who's the better investment.
Who has the best shot?
Who has the best shot? And there were a number of cases where you have mothers oftentimes treating their children differently based on what they look like. Wow. And what that would translate into was differences in how children were eating, where they went to school, if they went to private versus public school. You also had a case where it wasn't just mothers, there was a father who literally gave away his 3 darker-skinned daughters to raise his lighter-skinned daughters. I mean, it was a pretty brutal situation.
That trauma.
And how can we lessen that discrimination in families? Doctor, is there a way?
Yeah,
education.
So education is part of that, but that treatment is connected to the broader social structure, right? So this isn't about fixing families, it's about fixing our societies. Because in so much of the conversation about discrimination and colorism, we focus so much on color. And I just want to make sure we recognize that it's not just color, it's hair, it's features, it's lips, it's lips.
That's what we talked about.
You mentioned it's this constellation of racial features that shape people's outcomes. And that's been the crux of my work, is to understand and unpack how that plays out in people's lives.
What's the difference between race and ethnicity?
This is a really great question.
Are we a race? Hispanics? Latinos?
No. Let me explain what race and ethnicity are.
Break it down.
Both of these categories are, first of all, constructed categories. Humans made these categories, and what they mean actually varies depending on what country you're coming from. So I feel like I have to say that up front. These are not kind of objective categories. But when we talk about race, we're typically talking about physical features, whereas ethnicity refers to culture, it refers to language, it refers to kind of people's social experiences, and it's often connected to a geographic area. The other question that people sometimes ask is, how does nationality fit with this then? If that's race and that's ethnicity, nationality is just about your legal identity. Where do you have your citizenship? Oftentimes, folks, they mix up all 3 of these terms. They don't understand that Latinos are a pretty heterogeneous group that consists of lots of different racial categories.
Okay, so wait. So I am
Race first.
Cuban.
Okay, so let's break it down. Cuban.
I was born in Cuba.
Are you a Cuban citizen?
No.
No,
Not now.
My nationality is
So you're
USA.
American.
So you are American.
American.
Yeah.
Okay, and then my race.
Race.
Well, your race. What is your race?
She's part Lebanese, part Swiss.
But that's part of physical
part
features.
Yeah, let's talk about physical features. How are you read here in the United States? I would give her
like the
to say
color of
that
your
you
skin.
are white.
Right.
Racially,
Of course.
you would be
You're white.
Yeah.
You are white. I am white. She is white. We are white.
Now, your ethnicity, you're clearly Latina, right? This is part of what we're here to talk about. But even that category is interesting because some Latinos feel like, well, I don't necessarily want to be just subsumed in this Latino category, because in some ways, that Latino ethnicity subsumes Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic. All of these categories are just thrown into this Latino ethnicity.
We're all human.
It's a convenience that we created. The issue becomes that folks don't see Black folks as equal because they don't have the opportunity to see us functioning at the same level. Those are the game
Let me tell you
changers that
something.
we're
They are
talking about.
today.
right? Oxford Dictionary. Look it up. Look for the book if you have it.
And Hawa said unto me, Go yet love a woman beloved of her friend and an adulteress, even as Hawa loves the children of Israel, though they turn unto other powers, and love cakes of raisins. So I bought her unto me for 15 pieces of silver, a half homer of barley, and said, You shall not play the harlot, you shall sit solitary. Like that, and you know it's like that. We gon' keep her cold and we gon' take our land back. We gon' keep her cold and we gon' take our land back. We gon' keep our code and we gon' take our land back. Like that, and you know it's like that. We gon' keep our code and we gon' take our land back. We gon' keep our code and we gon' take our land back. We gon' keep our code and we gon' take our land back. Like that. Like that in Inglewood, the game is digital. The war is spiritual, a Naga need a miracle. Who knew a miracle would come when we just listened to you? Now we hysterical, cause we didn't think your words to be true. Be the head and not the tail is what you taught us to do. Chase the tail, become the tail, what a Naga gon' do? Pull the trigger, slay the nigga with an attitude. Instagram, Twitter, feeding us the palm with no fuse. We the copper Indians, Americans and Hebrews. It's time to man up, to stand up, to rock in our shoes. We the Abyssinians, the mixed multitude. We the real life Nagas with an attitude. Switch the story up, they speaking in the allegory. Slavery and land invasion, that ain't half the story. The morning star, the star that's asleep I'm mourning. More and more war buried us in solitary.
And Hawa said unto me, The children of Israel shall return, and shall sit solitary many days, without a Khan, without a prince, without sacrifice. Afterwards Israel will return, seek Hawa their power, and David their Khan, and shall come trembling to Hawa in the end of days.
Pop off and drop off whoever necessary, and slay the hijack, especially these mercenaries. Traffic stops, killing cops, got Nagas driving scary. We're doing 60 on the freeway just to see our family. We're rolling 60 for Bro Nipsey and the Wood family. We're hitting 60 on the PJ for the royal family. We press their up, battle up with either Pax family. Shabbat vibes and the tribe don't mean we that friendly. Fuck the internet, we moving to the library. Find a drop on how to stop familiar adversaries. Choosing up, drop a die like it's honorary. Cop shot my homeboy like it was customary. Trying to shoot a child and yelled he had an open carry. He was carried off by 6 last February. Fuck Corona, man, we sicker than the coronary. American 1828 dictionary. And I said unto her, Thou shalt sit solitary for me many days. Thou shalt not play the harlot. Thou shalt not be any man's wife, nor will I be thine. For the children of Israel will return, seek Hawa and Kandawi, and shall come trembling unto Hawa and his goodness in the end of land. Like that, and you know it's like that. We gon' keep our code and we gon' take our land back. We gon' keep our code and we gon' take our land back. We gon' keep our code and we gon' take our land back. Like that, and you know it's like that. We gon' keep our code and we gon' take our land back. We gon' keep our code and we gon' take our land back. We gon' keep our code and we gon' take our land back like that.